Is future of Las Vegas Aces in future? The Las Vegas Aces once stood at the pinnacle of WNBA greatness, a team that transformed the league, dominating the competition and setting the gold standard for what a super team could look like in women's basketball. But now, the mighty Aces are falling apart, right before our eyes. Once the epitome of success, the team is now facing a turbulent season of injuries, internal struggles, and poor decision-making. And now, a wave of departures, both on the court and in the front office, signals the end of an era in Las Vegas. What happened? How did this once unstoppable force in the WNBA fall from the top? Let's break it down. The first sign of trouble came during the 2024 regular season. The Aces finished with a record of 27 wins and 13 losses, their worst performance since Becky Hammon took over as head coach. At first glance, a 27-13 record might not seem so bad. After all, that's still a solid record for most teams, right? But for the Aces, this was far from the level they had set in previous years. Here's the kicker. They weren't just losing games. They were losing games they shouldn't have lost. And the reasons for these losses weren't just injury-related. Sure, injuries played a role, but that was only part of the problem. The Aces' success, especially in their championship seasons, had come from a unique combination of elite talent and an undeniable hunger to win. But in 2024, that hunger seemed to be missing. Instead of continuing to evolve and adapt, the Aces had become a team of star personalities that appeared to coast on their reputation. The hunger and drive that once propelled them to the top was replaced by complacency. Was this the reason they couldn't close out games? Why were some of their most star-studded players unable to step up when it mattered most? This question was on the minds of many fans and analysts, and when the postseason came around, it all came crashing down. Despite having an MVP on their roster, a legendary NBA coach in Becky Hammon, and a lineup full of Olympians, the Aces found themselves eliminated in the semifinals. Their quest for an unprecedented three-peat was over. What had happened to this powerhouse? The first major domino fell on October 10, 2024, when assistant coach Natalie Nakasi, who had been with the team through their championship runs, announced that she would be leaving her position to become the new head coach of the Golden State Valkyries. Her departure was a shock, but it set the stage for what was to come next. Then, just weeks later, on October 26th, the Aces made another surprising announcement. General Manager Natalie Williams, the architect of their championship roster and one of the most respected figures in the WNBA, would not be returning for the 2025 season. Her contract, which had been up for renewal, would not be extended as part of a restructuring of the front office. Why is this such a big deal? Well, let's take a closer look at Natalie Williams. A former WNBA player with a stellar career, Williams had been a force on the court, earning 4 All-Star selections and 3 All-WNBA honors. Her playing days with the Utah Stars and Indiana Fever earned her a reputation as one of the best centers in the league. Off the court, Williams transitioned into a successful executive role, eventually becoming the Aces GM in 2022. Under Williams' leadership, the Aces became the WNBA's most dominant team, winning back-to-back championships in 2022 and 2023. But as the team fell short in 2024, questions started to arise about her decisions, especially in the draft. Did her roster moves, or lack thereof, ultimately contribute to the team's inability to evolve? And why were so many of the Aces' draft picks failing to make an impact? The role of a GM is often defined by the ability to scout and develop young talent. It's not just about building a championship team for the present, it's also about laying the foundation for the future. And in that regard, Williams' tenure as the Aces GM raised some eyebrows. The Aces made several high-profile draft picks under Williams' watch, but many of those selections failed to make an immediate impact. Let's break down some of the more notable picks. Maya Hollingshead, 2022, 8th overall pick. Once considered a promising player, Hollingshead is no longer with the Aces. Her departure signals that she didn't meet the expectations set for her, and that's a missed opportunity for the team. Kirsten Bell, 2022, 11th overall pick. Bell is still with the Aces, but she hasn't contributed much on the court. Injuries and a lack of development have kept her on the bench more often than not. Kayla Pointer, 2022, 13th overall pick. Pointer never made the Aces roster, a clear sign that the team missed the mark with her selection. DeAsia Fair, 2024, 16th overall pick. Like many of the Aces' other recent draftees, Fair failed to make the roster. Further compounding the criticism surrounding Williams' draft choices, it's clear that while the Aces had some incredible players on their roster, their ability to build depth through the draft left a lot to be desired. In the high-stakes world of the WNBA, where depth can make or break a season, the Aces' failure to develop younger players raised serious questions about their long-term future. But how did this failure to grow through the draft affect the team's overall roster? Could the Aces have built a more sustainable championship contender if they had better drafted, developed, and retained their young talent? As if the Aces weren't dealing with enough, a scandal surfaced that added fuel to the fire. Former player De'Ara Canby filed a lawsuit against the Aces, alleging discrimination and retaliation. In her legal filing, she named GM Natalie Williams directly, further complicating her position within the organization. But it didn't end there. The Aces also found themselves embroiled in a salary cap violation scandal. It was revealed that the team, under Williams' leadership, had been attempting to circumvent the salary cap by allegedly paying for De'Ara Canby's daughter's schooling, which is strictly prohibited by the WNBA's rules. The violation led to the Aces losing their first-round pick in the 2025 draft. How much of an impact did these scandals have on the Aces? Could these off-court distractions have undermined the team's ability to perform when it mattered most? Were these legal and ethical issues, combined with on-court struggles, the final blow to the Aces' dominance? The departure of Natalie Williams is just the beginning of what is likely to be a massive overhaul for the Aces in the coming seasons. With the expansion draft looming in December 2024, the Aces will have to make critical decisions about their roster. What will happen to star guard Kelsey Plum, who will be an unrestricted free agent for the 2025 season? Will the Aces choose to keep her or let her go, possibly to a team like the Golden State Valkyries, who could be interested in signing her? The Aces will also need to address the center position. Kia Stokes, currently signed for next season, has been a liability at times due to her lack of scoring. Will the Aces choose to move on from her and give more playing time to the promising Elizabeth Kitley, who was drafted in 2024 but has been recovering from an injury? Additionally, unrestricted free agents Tiffany Hayes, Alicia Clark, and Sydney Coulson will be up for negotiation. Do the Aces bring them back or part ways with veteran players as they begin to rebuild? There's a lot of uncertainty surrounding this team. The Aces, who were once the gold standard in the WNBA, are at a crossroads. Major changes are coming, and fans can't help but wonder, what's next for this once mighty franchise? So what does all of this mean for the Aces? Is the dynasty over? Or is this just a temporary setback? One thing is certain, the Aces are no longer the untouchable force they once were. Their stranglehold on the league has loosened, and now they find themselves in a fight to stay relevant. After the Las Vegas Aces' recent performance, the New York Liberty has emerged as a top contender, closely contesting for the lead position in the WNBA standings. The two teams have been rivals throughout the season, with New York frequently challenging the Aces for dominance. With high performances from players like Brianna Stewart for the Liberty and Aja Wilson for the Aces, the competition between these teams has heightened the race for the top spot for upcoming seasons. The future of the Las Vegas Aces is uncertain as the team navigates a period of major transitions. Once the shining example of success in the WNBA, the Aces now face the looming reality of key Las Vegas Aces players' exit and a potential reorganization of the franchise. With pivotal departures, both on the court and in the front office, the question remains, can the Aces rebuild and maintain their championship aspirations, or is this the end of an era? As the Indiana Fever and other teams look to capitalize on the Aces' struggles, the next moves made by the franchise could determine if they can reclaim their position at the top of the league. One thing is clear, the future of the Las Vegas Aces is up for grabs, and only time will tell whether they will rise or fall.